Public information meeting for the 2022 tax levy collectible in 23. Today is Monday, December 12th, and it is 6 p.m. So how is this meeting run, Mike? Do we just open it up for questions, or?
So I think what we'll do is you call the meeting to order, and you're right, the purpose of this meeting is for the public to share their input on the budget. Remember this process, this meeting was set way back on August 8th at our first budget meeting. We've had a total of 6 meetings prior to tonight. So this meeting is for the purpose for the public to provide their input and to share their thoughts with the council. So we'll do that, and then you'll close the public hearing, and you can have some council discussion. The goal tonight would be to, you can do it at this meeting, either if you're comfortable with the levy and the budget, you can approve it at this meeting. There won't be another public hearing like this for public input, but the public's had 6 prior opportunities to attend the budget workshops. It's good to see that we've got a good turnout tonight. This is the most people I've ever had at a public truth and taxation meeting in the few years I've been here. So I'm going to turn it over to the public to ask their questions. And
I got a couple questions for you. Tonight, we'd like to set the levy, but we don't have to do that. It's an opportunity to do it.
Yep.
When does the county set their levy? Do you know?
They'll probably set it tomorrow. I think there'll be meetings tomorrow. I'm not sure when they're
I mean,
hearing.
unfortunately, I don't know if these people are know it, but they really should be to the county. The county's we don't have a lot to say about it, but is there an opportunity for them to go down there tomorrow? 6 o'clock tomorrow?
Yeah, the county's meeting is 6 p.m. tomorrow at the historic courthouse.
To set their final levy?
At the county.
Yep.
Now remember, we're just talking about the city tonight,
Yep, no, I know that.
not
but-
the school district. So this is specific for the public to provide input to the council, and we'll try to answer your questions.
Okay, thanks. Okay, who's going to be first? Tom, come on up. You're a good icebreaker.
I'm not sure how to start. At least in the past, when I worked for the city, there was a packet of information for the people. How do you expect the people to ask questions about the budget when this is what they're handed at the Truth and Taxation meeting? Public information meeting, open public information meeting, public comments. We used to have stacks of everything you guys have was available for the public in a handout for this meeting. I don't know how anyone out here is going to, if they don't have any information in front of them and you're not making a presentation of what's going into the budget, how can anyone ask a question? I mean, I've attended all the budget meetings, so depending on how the discussion goes, I can kind of follow where you're headed, and that this is wrong. I don't know how people are expected to, some of them may be here because they got their property tax statement and valuations went up and the city levy and they're going up. And so it was sticker shock, and I think some of the people are here because of that, but they have no information on what's going into the budget or what's causing the city budget to rise.
Okay, let's give Mike an opportunity. Mike, can you respond to that?
First of all, Tom, if I could, the levy did not go up, the levy went down. I know that all the costs went up because the county did reevaluations. Okay, I understand that. But our levy actually dropped 6.5?
The tax rate
The
dropped.
tax rate.
The dollar amount of the levy did increase.
Okay, so, no, but just so you understand, I understand things went up, but the levy itself, the tax rate, did not.
So
I used to play the same game for 33 years about tax rates and tax levies. They're two completely different things. And yes, you always say, oh, look how we compare to other cities. Our tax rate went down. We're only at 22% and so-and-so is at 35%. Aren't we great? But we're sitting here with a $2 billion tax base, and that's why our rate is so low. But I agree with you, Aaron, the tax rate went down, but the tax levy, the dollars that the city is levying went up, I think, 9%? Is that what it was? I don't remember, because I don't have a packet.
So
we do
Tom,
have extra packets if you'd like one. They were also published on our website middle of last week. Is that correct, Shar? So if you'd like a packet, we have one for you tonight. Otherwise, they were available on the website last week.
It doesn't do a lot of good at this time to, let's say, look, you know,
Mr. Lindner?
Yeah, if your house is valued, your property is valued at X, and the tax rate stays the same, nothing changes, okay? Your tax stays the same. But if your value went up 50%, like mine did, and the tax rate stays the same, your taxes are going to go up quite a bit. And the tax rate should have gone down because everybody's assessed values went up. So to keep the tax the same for everyone, the rate has to go way down. And if it stays the same or within 6% or whatever, everybody's taxes, because everybody's assessed values went up, unless the tax that is being charged in total goes down. That's what everybody's interested in, not the rate that it is. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to try to respond to that. From everything that I can gather, last year, the city paid $4.4 million in levied property taxes. And this year, we're going to pay 4.8. So our taxes, collectible taxes in the city of Cross Lake went up $400,000. To me, that seems like, and it's about 9% or something. The cost of living, the inflation went up about 9%, arguably, either way. Go ahead, Dave.
thank you, Mayor. I appreciate what Tom said, and I know Tom's background is deep in the finances. I've been sitting here for several years, and when I looked at this document the first time I was on the council, it was like looking at something that was somewhat Greek language. So I think we have an hour here. What I would propose is that we talk about like the two halves of how we generate costs. You know, for example, we have capital side of the world that includes new roads or rework on roads, and what we had last year, and talk about what we're going to do for next year. And then we can talk about all of the departments' budgets. I don't know if you can flip that on the computer, but I mean, this is kind of how we walk through all the departments and see what their increases are. Some of the, like Public Works might say, I need a new truck, and then we argue here that you're going to drive that other truck another year. As an example, we should go through this for you to all understand, but this year we didn't put any money in because we're not doing any roads next year. We have to have money in to pay the debt for the roads that we redid, but we put a little bit of money in there. There's no new roads. There's nobody going to get assessed. But I think if we have a discussion like we've been through that's kind of summarized, then they'll understand a little bit where we came up with these numbers. So.
Sure, so let me answer the question on what changed in our levy since last year. TJ, could you put this up on the board? So I'm looking right down, highlighted in yellow is last year's levy, and then right below that is what was adjusted to get to this year's. That's the increase. Now that increase is made up of two pieces. One is we had changes in debt service because we issued back on November 7th, a new set of bonds, specifically for the road projects. a fire apparatus that we'll be getting next year, and then sewer improvements. Okay, so from an operating perspective, our levy over last year went up 4.4%, which is about half of what inflation is this year. About 3.83% of that adjustment is due to new debt service that we just issued, that we have to levy for.
And that was, talk about what it was for.
Yep. There was one bond issue, General Obligation Bond Series 2022A. $800,000 was issued for road improvements, Wildwind Ranch Drive, Birch Narrows, and Rushmore Boulevard. Those projects were assessed. There was about $1,726,000 issued for two separate sewer projects. One was the sewer clarifiers. That's under construction right now. That's an improvement in Pat's department. And the balance of that was for the County Road 66 sewer extension and stormwater. So the total bonds issued were $3,069,000. We received about $257,000 from money from COVID funds that are eligible for the sewer portion. We will receive $450,000 of funding from Soil and Water Conservation for the 66 sewer extension project. $139,000 we'll reinvest in the fire truck once the old one is sold. We're using $260,000 of connection charges on the sewer project to help pay for it. And the county, through the cost share agreement, will be providing us about $500,000. Now that number will change a little bit because they added some things after the project was started. All right?
Okay, thanks, Mike. I really don't want to cut you people short, so Dave, although I agree with you, I think we should hear from some of these people first and then respond to them. So who else has come up and, yeah, come on up.
Thank you.
Name and address, please.
Okay, Warren Stock, 13421 Island View Lane, Cross Lake.
Thanks.
I'm here tonight with several questions about the sewer extension project and its impact on my city property taxes. From my research, I see that the City Council voted 3-2 on May 4th, 2022 in a special council workshop to forfeit the plan for the special assessments to benefiting properties, the properties that will actually hook up to the city's sewer system, because the council had not come up with a fair way to assess property owners. Therefore, after discussion, the council voted 3-2 to spread the cost of the utilities cost project across all Cross Lake, all Cross Lake property owners by issuing bonds and paying for them over a 15-year period at a 5% interest. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct. Yep.
Okay. At the public hearing, the project, May 9th, Mayor stated that everyone benefits from municipal sewer. My home is located on Island View Lane off of County Road 16. I do not have city sewer. Mayor, how do I benefit from the city sewer extension project?
You benefited by the quality of the lakes.
I got really bad ears, so I apologize.
The quality of the lakes, the water, it's part of the infrastructure of the city. It's part of belonging to the city.
Okay.
And we all do benefit from it. There are, go ahead.
Okay, well, my question, I guess, is, okay, I have a septic system that's been approved by the county, and I built a house.
Yep,
And I'm expecting everyone else that has a bathroom or to have an adequate sewer system. So why would I pay for someone else's sewer system?
Because that's the way it's been done. That's the way it was done previously. The people that did get they did pay a charge. They didn't get it for nothing. They had a fee, but it was called a connection fee, right? Yeah, instead of an assessment.
I'm sorry?
It was called a connection fee instead of an assessment. We were
Correct.
double feeing them, and
Okay. Okay. What is my total portion of this project, and how does it compare with what was proposed and the assessed to the commercial properties and residential properties that actually benefit, because they are hooking up to the extended sewer?
well, the properties
I
that hooked
think
up to
Mike
it.
should answer that. Mike should answer that
Okay,
one.
but they pay a lot of connections, so they're paying a bigger portion of the charge. But go ahead, Mike, could you do that?
So just to clarify, try to understand your question, there's a couple things you brought up. One is a connection charge and one is a special assessment. When there's a connection charge is only charged to those properties that are hooking up to the sewer, and the connection charge is to pay for their seat, so to speak, at the plant, to pay for the infrastructure that's already been constructed, because you're using up capacity in the plant. In what everyone is calling the first phase of the sewer, the city's position was, we need to get this thing up and running. And so parties were charged whatever they were charged, and it was, they were allowed to pay it over a certain period of time. In this case, there was no special assessment. If it were assessed, the assessment would be for the pipe in the ground to bring the service to that location. So the businesses and private parties that hooked up did pay a connection charge. And when the connection charges were determined, they were inflation adjusted from the original charge, so they increased quite a bit when we did that. Some of those fees that were collected and charged can be used to pay for the cost of the construction, because the connection charge is meant for the capital items for a plant. So that's one thing. So to answer your question on how much does it impact you, it would be twofold. One would be, what is the value to you of having clean water and supporting that effort? And the second would be calculated based on the value of your property and that portion of the levy for the debt and the operations that's attributable to your property. And I can't answer that.
So both of those values would be a direct increase to my property value? Both of those two items that you named would directly impact the increase of my property, or my neighbor's property,
It would
or
in- it would
anyone
incre-
else in Cross Lake?
It would increase it would be reflected in the taxes that you pay,
Okay.
whatever that portion is.
Because in my understanding, the special assessment is supposed to increase the value of my property.
But you weren't assessed, you didn't have a special assessment.
What is a special assessment?
This is a ad valorem tax.
It's listed as a special assessment.
Well, I think he really wants to know what the impact, what we would have charged for assessments, and we didn't. I think that's where he's going. Isn't that what you want to know is?
And that would be the 80% of the project. But the 20% of the project that should have been assessed to the owners of the adjoining
How
properties.
much is that impact?
That, okay, I already got 80%. So my question is, why am I paying the other 20?
I really don't know how much of the project you're paying. If you're looking at an assessment project, the minimum assessment for an assessment project under the statutes is 20% of the project cost.
Correct.
There were no assessments on this project for the benefit of it. The only thing that was charged the property owners for the sewer project was a connection charge when they hooked up.
Correct. But they should have been charged 20% of the project for the benefit to their property. They benefited from the property. They were able to hook up to the sewer. I can't hook up to the sewer. Okay, the line's not by me. So the benefit was to the property owners that are along that project line, who were able to hook up to the sewer. The cost to actually hook up really is immaterial on this assessment portion.
Did you
Again,
come to any of the meetings?
I can't hook up to the sewer line.
Did you come to any of the meetings where we were going through all this before?
Okay, I'm just saying that in every assessment project that gets assessed across the board, whether you're doing a street or whatever you're putting in lights, I don't care. 80% is done by the city and 20% is paid for that it effectively, directly affects that homeowner or that property. The 20% that should have been being paid for by the properties that were directly affected is now being thrown all over the city. Plus the 80, 100% of the project is being assessed, not 80. My question would be why, and why is that, why has that happened? But, okay.
Again, this was not an assessment project. It was not a special assessment project. It was talked about, the council determined to not assess for it, but they did adjust the connection charge for it.
Okay.
I
The
think,
20% he's referring to would be the minimum amount of
Minimum,
the
right.
project cost to assess.
So-
It's usually more.
what Mr. Linus tried to say is that when the first sewer system down 66 was put in,
Yeah, I know that. And remember, 2 people voted not to do this. There was a 2-3 deal. It wasn't like unanimous. So obviously, 2 people felt the same way that I felt
Right.
on the city council.
Right.
That this really shouldn't be assessed across the board, just 100% to everyone. But we can keep working on that.
well, I was just going to explain the why. You asked why is it the way it is. Well, when we did the first extension, or the build-out of the first line.
20 years ago.
People got assessed. They had to pay connection charges, but they didn't get assessed. So when we promoted this extension, all of those people felt, why did they get a free ride? And you're asking us to pay these exorbitant
Okay.
fees. So there was 3 of us that voted that we're going to do the same thing we did on the first line, and that's the way it came down, so.
And just to drop one more little bit on that, is our sewer was at the time running at about 50% capacity. We have the capacity to expand the sewer, and that's where this body decided to expand it that way, finish the commercial district on the main drag of town. That's what it was for. And a lot of those people that were along that way did not want to be assessed, did not want to have the sewer. So, I mean, we've been working on this for arguably years, trying to get it through, and that's where we just made the decision, that's how we're going to do it.
And keep in mind, there's quite a few commercial properties along that line.
There's quite a few, there's more residential,
So-
but yeah, there's both.
As a resident, I'm subsidizing commercial properties' ability to.
As a resident, you have always subsidized commercial properties. I mean, we have always done it since the first sewer went in. That's a big part of our tax.
Okay, so my question is, what is the total portion of this project, and how does it compare with the proposed to be assessed to the commercial properties and residential properties actually benefited?
Yeah.
No? Okay, I'm going to leave these with you so you can fill them in later. Okay. In tonight's meeting packet on page 2, the sewer extension costs nearly $2.6 million. Okay? In the next item, it says sewer clarifiers, $566,000. What are sewer clarifiers?
There were the equipment down at the plant.
What?
They're down at the sewer plant, equipment, and it's 20 years old, and we got to redo them. It's upgrading, updating.
That's the equipment that actually processes the sewage that comes in so that it can be cleaned up and released back into the environment.
Okay. So on page 4, it appears the total cost of the sewer extension project equals $3,159,513. Is that correct?
Well, if you're including the clarifiers, huh? I mean, would you, yeah,
Okay.
you're probably close.
If so, please explain how the project cost exceeded what was budgeted and who is responsible. It's $500,000. That's a big overrun.
Well, the county owes us over $500,000 now for money that the work was done for them.
At the county's expense.
And that's a county issue, not a city cost.
But the
We're paying for it, they're paying us back.
The clarifiers, is that the 500,000, is that what you're looking, that is not an overrun. The only time of year we can do this work is this time of the year when half of the plant is shut down, and we missed last year.
So the assessed value is going to be at 2.6 or at 3.1?
Well, I guess, Mike, you got to answer that one, but what did we bond for? Probably 3.1.
Okay, I just thought we were getting 600 or money back from the county.
Well, go ahead, Mike, explain that.
We will get money back from the county. What we did is we issued one bond and then split the proceeds out between all 4 pieces. 2 of the projects were sewer-related, and those are listed on page 4 on how we did that. So the bonds that are issued for this are listed right on there. I'm not sure what your question is. The city is paying for a portion of it. We did not bond for the county's portion that they'll pay us back.
Okay, I asked the question a second ago, and it was, are we paying 2.6 or 3.1? I'm sorry, I don't know people's names, and I apologize, but.
You're paying 3.1, and
Okay.
part of that cost is for the clarifiers.
So that means we're not getting any money from the county.
We are getting money from the county for their share of the cost share program. They'll reimburse us for the road surface, part of the curb, and part of the storm sewer project.
Is that above the 3.1?
No,
That's included in the 3.1?
that's included in it.
So why, if we were getting money from the county, would we still assess 3.1?
We didn't assess 3.1.
Okay, I'm just asking the question, because it's on there. On page 4, the clarifier is on there.
That's correct.
Okay, so it says, please explain the estimated final 2003 column on page 10 in tonight's meeting packet. What is the amount the city owes in bonds at this time?
Are you asking for the outstanding debt for
What
the
does the city
city?
owe in total bonds today?
I'll have to get back to you with that question. I'll have to get back to you with that answer.
You have to pass?
I said I'd get back to you with that so I can provide you an accurate answer.
I'm sorry, I really apologize.
He doesn't
48
have
years
the
of
answer right now.
construction.
He'll get back to you with it. He doesn't have the answer right
He
now,
doesn't have the answer.
but he will get back to you with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good question.
Well, yeah.
Provide him with a way to get back to you before you leave.
Okay, how does the city plan to sustain its current rate of bonding on projects? It would be easier if we knew a ballpark how much the bonds were. I mean, obviously, we can be within a half a
Well,
million.
the bonds for this project are $3,069,000.
Well, there's a whole list of bonds there, fire trucks, city hall, fire station. I mean, I would think someone would know how much the total bonds are out there.
I've just answered your question for this project. For the 2022 bonds, it's $3,069,000
For that year,
for the bonds that were just issued, yes.
yes. But
Can you,
what is the
can you
total
pull up
bonds owed?
the total bond issue?
Up right now.
How much do we
Yeah.
owe in bonds today?
And that's the question I'm looking up for you right now.
Okay. Could you ballpark it or guess it or?
I
He's-
said I
he's
would
gonna
look
look
it
it
up for
up.
you right now.
He's going to look it up on the computer right now.
Ensign, what is the city's plan for clarifying its special assessment project policies on future? So we said this, we did this in the past, you guys get this here for free. Now, when we move further down, are all the projects for sewer and water free? Or how do we decide who does and doesn't pay and who benefits and who doesn't benefit on future projects? Because we kind of changing the rules, or they seem to move.
Well, I don't know if we're changing. We're going by the same rule book we went by 20 years ago.
Well, keep in mind, I'm on County Road 16, so my understanding is I'm on the next phase, and I'd like to know ahead of time are we going to continue the same path that the city just?
I would venture to bet that neither you or I are going to be alive when it goes down County Road 16.
What's that?
I don't think either of us are going to be around here when it goes down County Road 16.
Oh, yeah, Betty Wade made it to 99. Okay.
He does have a good point. Either we get rid of the special assessment policy or we follow it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have followed it for roads
So
this year, sir.
So I guess your answer, if I'm understanding right, is that this is the end of the sewer projects.
Yeah, there's a couple that are out there lurking a little bit. They're 100% residential. And you're right, we haven't put the final, decided what to do about assessments on them. So
Okay.
that will be a struggle when we get there.
But Warren, we do have an assessment policy,
Right, I know you do.
and we didn't follow it the right way, according to you, for the sewer extension, but we did several roads this year, and most of those homeowners were assessed $4,000 for a new road.
Okay.
So we are using the assessment policy to reduce the cost to everybody in the city, so.
I don't want to, I wanted to stay on track. okay,
Sure.
From this perspective, because this assessment is what I consider the most gray area, okay? But keep in mind, I live on Island View Lane. It's been a public road since 1965. It's not a city street. You didn't adapt it. My neighbors and I paid $30,000 to bring it up. I was told that by the city staff that we had to bring it up the code, okay? They sent me one code, we did that, but then they sent me another code, which is probably obtainable, and I would tell you that most of your city streets couldn't make that code, okay? Then I was also told that I had to petition the city, but they probably wouldn't take it. But if they did take it, they would assess us maintenance and snow plowing. So careful on the roads if you talk to me. This is our second time we've redone our road, and there's 9 people on the road. It's not just a single house or anything like that. So the assessments and what roads and who gets sewer and that sort of thing gives me concern. Okay. So
Well,
here's-
I'm gonna touch on the assessment of maintenance. What else did you say? Oh, and snow plowing. I don't think you would get assessed for maintenance and snow plowing. Nobody does right now.
I plowed the road myself. basically.
Okay, but nobody does right now on any of the roads. If it's an overlay or a reconstruct, then they do.
Okay.
But maintenance, nobody does.
I'm going to save this for one of the city council meetings, because this is not the right place to bring
Okay.
this up. This is about tax
Okay.
levy, so I want to make sure. What I'm going to do is, who would I give this list of questions to, and if somebody could, if you could send me the information on that, that would be terrific.
Warren, I think I have your email.
Thank you, yeah. Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Warren.
Did you find the total debt, Mike? Did you find the
I'm
total debt?
trying to get into the network to give them the answer.
All right, who's gonna follow Warren? Good.
My name's John Steele, and the reason I'm here at the meeting, since that doesn't dictate any of it, what I'm here for, is I received my proposed taxes for 2023. In there states this meeting is held tonight. So I'm assuming, made a bad assumption maybe, but this meeting was gonna be about proposed taxes for 2023.
No, that is what it is.
Okay.
Yep.
So, my main concern was, I'm gonna lose $10,000 out of my homestead for 2023 because of the tax rates that are going up. So if you have a house under $400,000, your homestead tax pretty much should stay intact. But the higher you go up, the lower your homestead goes away. Eventually, over $400,000, you lose your homestead altogether.
No, Mr. Steele, could you speak into the mic, though? I mean,
Okay.
you want to include them, I get that, but,
I do because
yeah.
They can
they're gonna be
hear-
like me,
they can
either
hear
you lose it or you get to keep it. But as you start to grow up in your taxes and stuff, your homestead starts to go down. And in this county, it's right around $400,000, thereabouts. You go above that, you lose your homestead. Simple as that. Now, I don't know what can be done about it.
Well, see, that to me is kind of a county board question. The county,
It was, I talked to my tax
yeah,
assessor.
okay.
And that is true. I agree with what you say there too. But going back to this gentleman's questions about assessments, and you are part of the assessments, do you have any assessments coming up for 2023?
I don't think we got any projects, do we?
No.
There are no special assessed projects on the docket.
Well, when I was talking to this tax assessor for our area, we're the fastest growing area when it comes to value of homes. So therefore, we make a good portion of the money going into the growing county taxes. The assessments for 2023, or excuse me, I'm going to say 2022 first, and I don't know if this is in thousands, or I'm just going to say what I see. So it's 11,235 in 2022. In 2023, it's going to be $48,187. That's a 328.9% increase in 1 year.
Do you have any comment to that, Mike? Do you know what number he's talking about?
I'm not sure what number he's talking about.
It's special assessments.
That'd be roads,
Okay, can I see what you're looking at?
yeah.
Excuse me?
Can you show me the document you're looking at
Yeah,
so I can answer your
sure
question?
can. You're right in there.
Put this up, TJ.
It would be up in the upper right-hand corner.
I know what it is.
Okay.
So what he's looking at right here, this is a new reporting requirement that came out for this tax year. And on the left-hand side, you've got the entire county. This is the proposed budget for the entire county for 2023, 2022, 23. This is the proposed budget for just the city. And down on the bottom is just the school district. This is the entire budget. It's not the individual budget for each property owner, okay? And so on this line right here, special assessments, the city already has some outstanding projects where we're collecting assessments. One is Dream Island, the other one was, there were a couple other ones that were out there, smaller projects. This year, this is the amount of assessments at budget time we're projecting to collect from projects next year. That number, 329% got a lot of attention, but the only reason it should get any attention is because we assess new projects we expect to collect from those that were assessed in the projects we just talked about. Now, the only people that were assessed for next year were the road projects.
Then how can you explain to me, if that's in my proposed taxes, for me, my personal taxes, that's gonna go against me, not just because I got assessed or not assessed?
That's not going against you at all.
Is this is county, right?
No.
This is the,
This is a county document, not a Cross Lake document.
okay, let's try this again. This is a new reporting requirement for this year. This is the county budget summary information.
That whole block, right?
This whole block is all of Crow Wing County.
Okay,
This city township summary budget information is all of the city of Cross Lake.
okay, that's us only.
It includes you and includes everyone that lives in Cross Lake,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
And so this line here is special assessments. We assessed projects in prior years that we're collecting over the term of the, were assessed. Now, we had new projects we just spent some time talking about, were the road projects.
Right.
These are the assessments at budget time we expect to collect next year, okay?
In 2023.
In 2023. That doesn't impact, if you were a beneficiary of that project, you know, if you got a new road in front of your house on Wild Wind, Rushmore, Birch Narrows, one of those roads, then you'll get assessed.
Okay,
That top box
Yeah.
is the revenue or the income to us. See the
Yep.
revenue
Correct,
line?
right.
And then the bottom is the one that we all should be looking at.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if it goes up, what that, 300 something, that's really a large number for no more than a 10,000 or roughly about a $38,000 gain. But that says to me, that's part of my tax that you're gonna tax me for.
Okay, let's try this again.
Now, it's not breaking down there, and John Steele's taxes is, oh, you're 48,000 for 2023. John, you're not gonna get taxed for any of that.
Do you live on Birch Narrows?
No. I live on Manhattan Point Boulevard.
You were not assessed.
I was not assessed.
None of this number is coming from you.
So if I got, anybody here on this road he's talking about?
Can we share your tax statement?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
I'm gonna pay them, so I don't care.
yep.
I think there's a difference between assessed and levied.
So the difference between an assessment is, let's say on Manhattan,
Right?
or whatever road you live on, we put a new improvement on there and we charged you for it,
Right, if you did it.
if we did.
Okay,
We didn't do that. On Birch Narrows, we did.
okay,
On Rushmore, we did.
okay.
On Wild Bend Ranch, we did.
Mine.
And we charge those people. You don't live on those roads, you're not charged, and that is not reflected on your tax statement.
But show them where that would be reflected on the tax statement if it were.
It would be down here as a separate line item
Special assessment.
that says special assessments and the road
Okay.
you're
Do
on.
you see that on there anywhere?
Nope, it's not on here. This is just general levy. Yeah.
There's a 0 by special assessment.
Yep.
Okay,
So you,
all right.
okay?
That's state general.
Does that answer your question?
I believe so.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, glad we could
I
help.
pity you other people. Even though they're probably necessary to have the upgrades, but
Mr. Steele, could I get your address, please?
yeah, 12805.
Thank you.
Oh, you want?
Just for the
You're good with
records.
that number?
I'll bet it's Manhattan Point Boulevard.
Correct.
Okay, who's next? We got about 19 minutes left.
My name is Karen Frederick, 37698 Moen Beach Trail. My husband Dwayne and I have been property owners up here now for approximately 46 years. When we received our proposed tax statement this year, to say we were shocked was an understatement. Before I say anything, I would like to see that in the future, all of you have names in front
Yeah,
of you.
we should. I don't
So
know.
that we all
I'm
know
sorry.
who we are communicating.
supposed to
I
be.
have no idea who some of you people are. I can kind of guess. But I think that would be a common courtesy. If I have to identify, I would like you to be identified as
I
well.
apologize, that should be.
Well.
I'm the
it's-
guy on your tax statement.
Pardon me?
I'm the guy on your tax statement.
I know that.
Okay.
I know who you are. I know who you are, you, and you. It's not all of you. There's mine. Thank you.
I don't have one.
Honest to God, and I seriously, after being up here for almost 46 years, our market value went up 82%. We're retired on a fixed income, and blah, blah, blah. You can blame it on the county, you can blame it on, I blame it on county and the city. But seriously, and just as Mr. Steele said, we've lost our homestead. And I'm curious, how many people here, sitting up here, live on Lakeshore property? Because Lakeshore property people are the ones who are supplementing a lot of stuff that goes on here in the city, here in the county, and it goes on and on. We used to be citiettes, that we were called, and it is still a term that's used, from people who own property up here and live in the city and would come up on weekends, vacation and all this and that. And we never had representation. And I know of a lot of people who would like to be up here, but it's a Monday night, working night, storms potential coming up. However, it's just very difficult at times, and you just say, well, it's what the price we pay. I had a long conversation today with Brandon, the Crow Wing County assessor, who really enlightened me on a lot of things, which was really valued. And I do appreciate that. However, I am just shocked at our market value going up 82%. I'm wondering how many of you people have had an increase in 1 year of 82% on your market value. Now that's your market value. Whoop-de-doo, that's gonna be great. So you know what, when we go around to sell it, we're gonna get a lot more than that at what this is, but we're gonna pay for it in the long run. But the worst part is we lost our homestead. We were fortunate enough to be at that point. We live in the bay off from Little Pine, which has been kind of a sore spot because we've had challenges here with the city about the bridge. We've tried to get a road in, couldn't get the road, and we've made do with it. However, now we're at a point where I don't even want to go into the whole sewer thing because you've already been doing all of that. But I'll tell you, it sounds as though you guys are being held hostage by a lot of businesses in this city. And I think it's time you kind of have a come to Jesus with a lot of these business owners to realize if you have a business in this city, you are going to have to pay a little bit more than what homeowners do have to pay. And there are some I'm going to go back to Mr. Steele. The value when you lose your homestead for market, this is market value, $413,800. That's the market value when you lose, and that is all driven by the state. The state determines that. It has nothing to do with you guys, nothing to do with the county, and that is by that. But let me tell you, that is a huge factor for a lot of people. And I think that is something that has to be addressed, and with all the rest of this. But I'm just saying, so like right now, I'll just close it with, our county taxes are going up 40%, and our city the city taxes are going up 48%. I think that's outrageous. With everything else that's going on in the economy right now, and then you're killing us. We can't afford to live up here anymore because of some of these prices. And I just think you have to be, I think the other thing I did here is that right now, you're looking at 9.25% increase is what you're looking at. The county is looking at 2.89. I mean, I hope you're being realistic, and I hope you're really looking at all of us and how it's affecting all of us. And I'm glad I had an opportunity to come here. And no, Mr. Mayor, we have not attended all of the budget meetings. We have not.
Yeah. All right.
And I think that's difficult for a lot.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to just say this, the one and only time we ever heard from the city when we were living in the cities and paying our taxes and all, and the one and only time we ever got a mailing, other than our tax statement from the county, is when the original community center burned to the ground. Burned to the ground. And then we got a survey from the city, and it said, what would you like to see? What do you want in the next community center? You found us, you asked us, and it was so valued, not just by us, but everyone that we knew that were our friends. You cared. You honestly wanted our input into what? Since then, nobody. Now, we retired up here approximately 19 years ago, full-time, and I don't know what the people in the city, I don't know what they hear from you guys, other than they paid their taxes, and that's what you're good to go. So I appreciate the time. Thanks again. I would like to know more of your names so I can identify you when I see you in the city. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Karen.
Thanks.
You bet. 11 minutes left, folks. Anybody got anything? Karen, I'd like to ask you, when you talked to Brandon from the county,
Yeah.
did he give you any explanation about your,
He told us how it was by the sale of the property that had taken place on Little Pine. Now, he said he received a lot of calls from Little Pine, Daggett, Goodrich, some of the other lakes. But he did say it's all based on the sale of property. Yes. And then also because we're back in the bay, so we get a discount because of vegetation.
sounds like you got hit a little harder.
You betcha.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand.
We're on the inland, we're not on the lake.
He also told me, he did all of the numbers. If we lived on the lake, Little Pine Lake, our value would be an additional 366,000 from what it already was, what they had already agreed.
We had no idea
That's nuts.
they were doing that. We were as surprised as everybody was when that came out. Or at least I did.
I think it's time for communication to take part
It seems to me that people on the lake got hit, their taxes went up, and the people not on the lake, a lot of their taxes went down.
And I don't think it's on.
No? Well, that's what I've heard.
And the odds are, the people that are on the lake don't have homestead anyway.
Don't, you're right.
They probably don't have it, so they don't see what they're losing. We do.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah, I know. It hurts me too. I'm right there with you. Okay, anybody else? There's 10 minutes.
I'd like to answer the gentleman's question earlier. He asked, what are
Oh,
the
yeah,
outstanding
okay.
bonds?
Oh, he's gone now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't you share it with everybody else?
Sure. Before we issued bonds, the outstanding balance of the bonds at the end of the year we're in would have been 5.1 million. And add the $3,069,000 worth of bonds, that gets us to about 3.179.
3.17?
8.179.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's time to start paying some bonds off, huh? Okay, nobody else has got anything? Okay, anybody?
I could run around to the podium. Can I just talk here?
Sure. Go ahead, Marcia.
Because I'd have to take my walker. I agree with, we're gonna, I know the state legislature sets what the county has to assess, the 90% of the sales ratio, and that's kind of out of their hands too. And we have nothing to do with, the values. That's the county. But I think we have to take a look at the citizens as a whole, people losing their homestead because the valuation's going up and the tax rates. I mean, some are going down, but we have to look at the big picture, and everybody should be considered in this budget, and we should try to reduce the budget as much as we can to help out the citizens that have been hit. And my tax bill went up 37%. So I agree we should be a little more careful on our budget and try and reduce it as much as we possibly can.
Thank you, Marcia. Well, if nobody else has got anything to say, I think we're going to close her. Motion to close the public information meeting?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, you want the roll call on that, Char? No?
Well,
I think you just, no.
Closing the public hearing. We'll reopen the council meeting. Okay.
Just the public comment.
There's hang on.
I don't want to approve it. We'll go ahead.
Nor do I.
Okay, so at this point, the public input hearing is over. Now, remember, we have to have the budget done this month on short order. We know Christmas is in there, and I think we've got till the 28th. At this point, if you're comfortable with the final levy, now remember, we're at about a little over 4% operating increase over last year, and that's with inflation at almost double that. So we don't have a lot of wiggle room. If there are specific things that you want to talk about, remember, we've had 6 previous meetings on this, lots of discussion, and a couple of the items that are still bouncing around. We heard a lot tonight about valuation. Everyone was like, wow, my valuation went up. We did see cases where valuation went up and the taxes actually went down. Now, for those folks that were under the homestead exclusion, that was a pretty common case if they were still under it. We also saw situations where values went up significantly, but their taxes didn't. It all depended on when the property was last valued. Now, every 5 years, the county does what they call their quintile assessment. And so I looked, and I think on the area we talked about on Dream Island, Moen Beach, that was done back in September of last year. So that's what you're seeing, those values coming online now. So at this point, you can propose additional adjustments. You can approve the levy, you can work on the budget more, but we have had 6 meetings on this and lots of discussion.
I'm not prepared to approve this levy. I would like to see if we can't reduce the budget some more.
What is in the budget that would reduce it a meaningful amount to help people more than maybe $5 on our taxes? There's no room in there to reduce it enough to actually help the people that have been hit this hard.
That doesn't mean that you should budget something that is not necessary. And I feel like there's stuff in there that's not necessary, that we should be
I think all you're
reducing.
doing is putting off the inevitable. For a
But
matter
for
of a
the
few
people
days.
that have the 30 to 40% increase in their taxes, I think you need to take a look at it and address your budget, and if there's room to reduce it, reduce it.
I would guess to drop off that 30 to 40% increase, we would have to drop at least $1 million off of our budget.
Yeah.
And on the level of budget we have, that means we would have to start cutting staff. We would have to cut services, extreme amount. So it's not there to be cut that much, Marcia.
Well, I think there is. You're adding 2 full-time staff people. You want to add 2 full-time staff people.
Well, right now, I think the budget reflects 1.5.
I know, but then it's going to, next year, it's just, I don't think it's necessary to add the 2 staff people. And the police assigned balance is $120,000 that we've levied for vehicles and equipment, and it's sitting there, we've levied it, it's sitting there, and you want to go ahead and levy another $64,000. To me, that's nuts. You already have $120,000 sitting there.
So let's address your issue on staffing. The issue on staffing was talked about at least 3 meetings, and the council voted on that at least 3 times, and the decision was made to go ahead with what was in the proposal. Now, not all of you were in agreement on it, yeah, but most all of you were. So that does reflect what the budget is. Now, the changes that were made at the last meeting, we took about $26,000 of levy-related items out of the budget. The impact of that was just under $5 on a $500,000 home, residential homestead. It was about $3, a little over $3 on a residential home, and about $10 on a $1 million home. So Aaron, I agree with Aaron. If you're trying to make meaningful cuts that people can really feel, then you're looking at money you don't have to cut. Or you spend down fund balance and you want to have a deficit funded budget. Now, in response to your question on the police fund balance, Eric is here. Do you want to talk about that? Sure.
No cane today.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're working on it.
So I've got it up here, so I'm gonna get you started on this.
Yeah,
and
if you
can
would,
ask the
please.
questions. So, what I've done is what you've asked for, and right now, at November, the fund balance is about $120,000, so Marcia's correct. And the question was, what's our planned use for those funds? Now, there's 2 parts to this. One comes from what we call levied dollars, and one comes from what's called donated dollars. And so what Eric's done is, had he not received a donation this year of $5,000 up here, he'd have $406 left in his fund balance. So he's managing the expenditure of that. So the fund balance Marsh is really talking about is 114 at the end of November. And what we've been doing is we've been planning ahead and making sure we're levying adequate amount to replace squad cars when they're turned in. In this number, I'm projecting about $23,000 for the squad cars. We're still trying to figure out the implication of whether we buy a couple radios or buy all 6 of them at once. If we buy all 6 of them at once, that's about $39,000 in radios to upgrade the squad cars once they do fail. The other items in here are talking about cameras that's still pending, and vests. So that's really what you're talking about. If you want to take that and reduce that, then you should make a motion to do that. Otherwise, we've identified what those dollars are for. And should you decide to leave it, that's even better. If you decide to take it away, you will have those expenditures in the future, and it will cost more.
Thanks, Mike. With that said, I don't know where you want to take that money, where you want to cut it. I think we did 15,000 last year, or that we cut out of it. Yeah. So I guess I would ask you, where would you like to see that cut? What do you want me to cut out of here?
And that equipment,
Yep.
you tell me what you're going to cut, what you can cut.
I've shown you what I need, and we've planned for it. Now, I guess I'm gonna look at you and say, what do you want me to cut out of there?
So do you get funding from the state or anything on cameras or radios or anything like that?
Don't remember, we did a 5-year contract on the squad and body cameras. I get no funding, I get reimbursement for training.
So we don't, if we have that contract, then why are we buying cameras? Aren't they already in
We
that
haven't
contract?
been billed on it yet. Over the next 5 years, it'll be 14,000. We have not received a bill yet.
Do we go 5 years or do we just go the 1 year?
No, we went 5 years. So we got 6 cameras, squad cameras, and 12 body cameras. The body cameras will be replaced. We'll get 6 initially. In 2.5 years, we'll get 6 more because they only warranty them for 3 years. So that was part of that program.
Well, a year ago, it was 125 in that balance. This year, it's 120.
I haven't,
So-
and 114, other than,
I'm just saying, last year I asked the same question. It was 125,000 in
yep,
the
and
signed
I agree.
balance.
And we were talking
Now
about the
it's
cameras at that
120.
point in time also.
So I think we have money sitting there, and we're not spending it on what you say you're going to. And
Well, you'll see that the radios are 6,500 each, and it was 5, not 6. We bought a new one this year with the new squad. The cameras are just still getting implemented into the system. So I'm still waiting on some software to get fixed, and still waiting for that first $14,000 bill that we're gonna get. That's 14 over 5 years, 14 each year, just so we're clear on that.
Eric, let's talk
So
about
Eric, did we
Yep.
approve those cameras last
Yeah.
year? And you
No,
just
no,
haven't-
no, we approved those in, I believe it was June.
Of this
June.
year?
Yep.
And so there's the money for them, you just haven't been.
I just haven't been billed because it hasn't been completed yet. The cameras are installed, the software isn't complete yet, and they haven't, for some reason, billed me on that yet. I'm on a phone call with them in the next 2 days, because we got some issues, so I will find out more. So vests is something I wasn't planning on. I wasn't planning on losing an officer, and when typically we can get reimbursement for that, but I wasn't planning on another officer. So I didn't have that funding from the feds. We get state money, but we don't get the federal money if I wasn't planning on 3 new officers in the last couple of years. Nope, vests. So we fell short on that. So again, I'm gonna ask, I mean, 9,000 for the radios, obviously that's not gonna cover the $6,500 per radio. That's new encryption. The FEMA and the feds decided that we're gonna try something new and different, and we went a different way than the original radios that we bought.
What are you
So right
doing
now,
with
we're
the old-
non-compliant.
What are you doing with the old radios, or are you replacing the
That's a good
radios
question.
as you get the squad cars?
Well, I'm not in. When are they gonna be? Yep. Okay. The mobile in squad. Okay. Well, according to Chip, they're useless. Squads, what do we got? Okay, you got this.
So let's talk about the debate over squad cars for one second.
Mike, can I interrupt you for 1 second? We're running over into council time.
Yep.
Let's move on. Let's just not approve it.
All right, so this 23,961 right here that I just circled, we said, yep, we're projecting that's gonna be in the ending balance for squad cars. I'm not looking at next year. I'm looking at where I'm gonna be in 2025 for squad cars. And I've got a problem right now, today, that I've identified. We don't have enough for 2025 at our current rate. So the last squad car we purchased, we've got about $56,000 into it to put it into service. I'm really hoping some of the equipment can be used to keep this one for 2023 at 57.
Remember, 65 of that was a new radio.
Yes. So I'm looking at where are we going to be in 2025? So if you make a decision to reduce that, your number for 2025 goes up. Yep, because we're on a rotation.
Then you get one squad.
We can do that, and you can flippantly say that that's something that we can do, and that's fine. That's up to you. That's up to the 5 of you. And if that's what you decide to do, that's how we work it. We work it in, we work it somehow, and at some point in time, if we have 2 squads that are down, that leaves us 3 only. Okay? And yeah, it may not sound like it, and I hear kind of chuckling behind me, but multiple times we have needed 6. And all 6 officers. It's not an ego thing for me. I mean, it's what we need to run the police department. It's just what it is, and it's what we've designed this police department as, and how we want to go forward is up to you. We go to probably 90% of the calls.
So we have 65% of the calls in the city are all for medical emergencies. We're gonna start cutting. I'm sure everybody here is gonna be too happy that we need medical.
Dave, I can't hear you.
If 65% thereabouts are the calls that are according to Chip on 363 year-to-date calls are for medical assists out of a total of 536. That's where you're putting most of your time in there. And if
That's
people-
Chip. We're probably about 10% of those.
Right, but I mean, if we don't have the equipment and the manpower to get to those people that need help, we're gonna hear about it.
Right, and I've always said, and when, we had detours that weren't detours and that type of thing, sorry, I went there again, sorry. But we said we get there, and we will. I mean, we'll figure out a way, if there are two people in a car, that's how it is.
We're not taking
Go
away any
backwards.
squad cars.
You're asking to go, well, that's not what you said. We just don't buy cars. We only buy one, is what you said. So
Yes,
that just, to
not
me,
two.
makes
Then the
it
next year
something.
extend, it'd be a 6-year,
We can
over
do
6
that.
years, you would do
And
the
again,
rotation.
I'm not opposed
not
to that
take
or
anything
taking a
away.
look at that. But where's your money savings? Explain that to me. I mean, where are you saving the money there? You're just deferring it a year, and then we have maintenance costs, and we do have maintenance costs with the 6-year-old squads. Again, it's
Mr. Mayor,
not an ego thing.
Mr.
The
Mayor.
squads don't change that much.
Go ahead, John.
We've talked about this for a long time and all the parts. I'm going to make a motion that we accept the budget as it's listed tonight. And you all can vote on it however, but I think the time has come that we need to make sure we keep services in Cross Lake.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Anything, Marcia? All in favor?
No, I'll do a roll call. Dave Schrupp,
Yes?
John Andrews,
Yes,
Marcia Ziebert Bowles,
No,
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And I think we need to work on the budget the year before the budget comes out. We need to be a little smarter earlier on how we're spending money.
Yep, and we start that in midsummer.
So do we want to do the levy
Yes.
resolution
Yep.
as well?
Do the levy resolution too.
Now I
Yeah,
move
I
to
wonder if
adjourn
you-
this meeting.
Aaron,
He's got one more piece.
Oh, I'm sorry.
the levy resolution would go with this as well.
I make a motion that we accept the levy as submitted.
Is that up, TJ?
I'll second that.
All right. John Andrews,
Yes,
Marcia Ziebert Bowles,
yes.
Aaron Herzog,
Yes.
Dave Nevin.
Yes.
Dave Schrupp.
Yes?
Motion carries.
Now we can adjourn. Move to adjourn.
Second, let's take all in favor of adjourning? Aye. Aye. Take a 5-minute break.